Hello and welcome. If you are watching this video, you are likely registered to submit a traditional WPE portfolio in January of 2023. This is the January 2023 WPE workshop for the reading set topic on Restoring High School Learning. My name is Betsy Gomez and I am the Associate Director of the Writing Proficiency Program. Program Coordinator Rose Mooney will be joining me in this presentation. Please make sure to bookmark our website, which is www.umb.edu/WPE. Our website houses some helpful content, such as the detailed WPE portfolio requirements, grading criteria, the WPE schedule, and copies of our resources like the grid notes and these PowerPoint slides. You may also book quick question or hold release appointments via the links on our website's main page. We've designed this short workshop so you can familiarize yourself with the WPE grading standards and portfolio requirements. We'll go over the submission process and submission schedule. We will take some time to offer advice on how to write a successful WPE essay. This will include a discussion on what kind of essay to write, how to incorporate and give credit to sources, and how to make sure you are answering the essay prompt. Finally, we'll model how you can use an organizational tool like our grid notes to create an index of important quotes and make sure your challenge essay effectively engages with your sources. So, it is important to familiarize yourself with the criteria for EWRAP and the WPE, which are the grading standards that will be used to grade your submission. This criteria was created by the faculty at UMass Boston some time ago and is directly related to the aims of the general education program. According to the general education program, writing proficiency involves critical thinking, critical reading, and elements of writing. These capabilities are demonstrated within an essay by the following criteria: writing with a clear purpose, effectively utilizing source material, and organization. Keep in mind that you are not expected to write a perfect essay. You are college students and are still learning and growing as thinkers and writers. The graders expect your essay to demonstrate intermediate proficiency in writing. This means that the WPE is not a spelling or grammar exam. You are actually being graded on whether your essay clearly answers the essay prompt, on whether you engage with and utilize your sources in a way that supports your answer to the prompt, and on whether your essay is organized in a clear and understandable manner. It is very important that you write an essay that shows your thinking and point of view. We'll continue to remind you about this throughout the workshop. It's that important. WPE challenge essays are graded on a scale of 1 through 9. Developing essays earn scores between 1 and 3. Proficient essays earn scores between 4 and 6. And exemplary essays earn scores between 7 and 9. To pass the WPE, your essay must earn a score of 4 or higher from 2 different graders. Course papers provide a supporting role. Graders may consult them to assist with difficult decisions. For example, if your challenge essay is strong in the areas of focus and organization, but not as strong in source use, the graders may take a look at your course papers to see if they demonstrate proficient use of sources. Writing with a clear purpose involves having a sustained focus on a position, argument, or inquiry. Your position, argument, or inquiry are determined by what you think, usually in response to a prompt or assignment. A proficient essay clearly states its focus and maintains that focus throughout the entire essay. A proficient essay presents a methodical, connected discussion. Your challenge essay should focus on answering the prompt on page 1 of the Restoring High School Learning reading set, which is, how do you think high schools should approach addressing the learning loss experienced due to the COVID-19 shutdown and support students in completing their education? Effectively utilizing source material involves carefully selecting, integrating, and explaining source material, as well as meaningfully applying that material in service of an essay's purpose. Effective use of sources means moving beyond summarizing the ideas in texts and towards meaningful engagement with those ideas. A proficient essay engages in a conversation with the sources by connecting the source's ideas to your own essay's purpose and argument. A proficient essay relates the source's ideas and materials to your own ideas and makes that relevance explicit. A proficient essay explains and contextualizes ideas from sources, possibly by briefly reviewing the source's argument, putting their ideas into your own words, or illustrating them with fresh examples. The source material you need to use for the January WPE are the 3 readings in the January WPE reading set. These readings are by Sparks, Hamilton et al., and Cheng. Please do not include any sources that are not in the reading set. Only use the material we gave you. Organization guides the audience from paragraph to paragraph with effective transitions, which connects sentences to form coherent paragraphs. Organization indicates awareness of your reader's need to be guided through the flow of your ideas. In a proficient essay, each paragraph signals a new idea and how the new idea is explicitly related to the previous paragraph and the overall purpose of your essay. In a proficient essay, sentences use forms that express meaning to the reader, and each sentence has a meaningful connection to the other sentences in the paragraph. You might be wondering what the portfolio requirements are like and what you need to submit in your portfolio. We have modified the requirements through January 2023. The current requirements are a challenge essay of at least 1,500 words or longer and 3 course papers. For the course paper, 1 course paper must be 1,250 words or longer. The other 2 course papers can be 750 words or longer. If you are a first semester transfer student, meaning that you transferred in the fall of 2022, you are allowed to submit 2 course papers. 1 paper should be 1,250 words or longer, and the other paper can be 750 words or longer. All students submitting a WPE portfolio must write a new challenge essay answering the WPE prompt. Finally, you will be given a link to the confirmation form closer to the submission deadline. The confirmation form includes an honesty statement and a brief survey. All course papers submitted in your WPE portfolio should come from courses you took at UMass Boston. You are allowed to submit 2 course papers from your intermediate seminar or CRW 282. You should include at least 1 paper from a course that is a 200 level or higher course. Also, your papers should ideally utilize sources. A source can be anything from a journal article, book, lecture, or work of art. All papers should be analytical and present an argument. This means that personal narratives and reflections or creative writing pieces like short stories or poems are not appropriate. With advanced approval, you may be able to submit a paper based on observation, like a lab report or case study. Please email your candidate papers to us at writing.proficiency@umb.edu, and we will take a look at them. You can also email us your papers if you're second guessing whether or not they are appropriate to include in your portfolio. We're happy to take a look at them and help you. We want you to submit a portfolio. The same goes if you're worried you don't have enough course papers. Please send us an email. We really want you to submit and we'll help you. So every once in a while we get this question, which is why we included this slide in our presentation. Does everyone have to submit the challenge essay? Regardless of whether you started your studies at UMass Boston this fall or 3 years ago, everyone who is registered for the January WPE or any traditional WPE does need to submit a challenge essay based on the WPE reading set and prompt. We will not grade any portfolios that do not include the challenge essay. When you registered for the WPE, you received an email confirmation which included a link to access the reading set. We have a little snapshot here of what that email looks like. If you can't find this message, send us an email and we will make sure you have the reading set. We also send weekly updates every Friday afternoon and include the link to the reading set in those updates. Everyone who is registered for the WPE receives those updates. WPE portfolios are submitted via Blackboard. On January 1st, you will begin to have access to the WPE Blackboard course shell, CAS 015. You will have until 11:59 p.m. on January 4th to submit your portfolio. We'll grade portfolios from January 10 to 12 and we'll email WPE results after 5 p.m. on Friday, January 13th. If you receive a pass result, this means that you have completed the writing proficiency requirement. If you receive a retake result, it means that the WPE graders did not find that your submission met the grading criteria at the proficient level. If you do happen to receive a retake score, please make sure to sign up for retake counseling, which will take place from January 17th through January 23rd. During your retake counseling appointment, you will meet with a faculty member via Zoom to go over your result and review the grader's comments on your portfolio. You will also have the opportunity to revise your essay using the feedback from your retake counseling appointment. Revisions are due a week after your counseling appointment and are only accepted if you meet with a retake counselor. Because you need feedback, how can you write a revision of your essay without feedback? Revised essays will be graded by 2 new faculty members. If your revision attempt is found to be proficient, you have passed the writing proficiency requirement. If your revision attempt is not found to be proficient, you will need to attempt the WPE again. The next WPE will be for a March 2023 submission, with registration opening on our website on February 13th. We are now moving to the advice portion of our workshop. These are just a few tips to keep in mind as you start working on your WPE challenge essay. The most important component of a WPE essay is your own thinking. We've already brought this up. We want to see what you think. If you don't express your ideas and provide logical support for your own ideas, you will not pass the WPE. Remember that the WPE grading standards, focus, source use, and organization are all tied to your own thinking. In the next couple of slides, Program Coordinator Rose Mooney will go over a few do's and don'ts, and we'll also talk about the grid notes and how to use them in your writing process.
Our first piece of advice include a few do's and don'ts. Our first don't write a report. Do write an essay. Do answer the question directly and unmistakably first and not in the last paragraph. Do use the reading set sources. Don't over-summarize. Do engage with the sources. Finally, whether you quote, summarize, or paraphrase, do give credit when you are using someone else's ideas or words. Always give credit. We will break down this advice in more detail in the next couple of slides. The main difference between a report and an essay is that a report may have a lot of summary and is meant to inform the audience about something. An essay has a small amount of summary. In an essay, the writer's goal is to persuade the audience that their argument is correct or important. You are the writer here, and your goal is to convince your readers. In an essay, you will take a position and present an argument that is supported by information and logic. As mentioned earlier, your own thinking is essential. The graders want to know what you think. It is important to answer the question as soon as possible, ideally in the first paragraph. Your position or thesis statement is important because it is the heart of your essay. You can employ phrases from the question to create your position. For instance, the prompt asks, how do you think high schools should approach addressing the learning loss experienced due to the COVID-19 shutdown and support students in completing their education? A possible answer to this prompt could look something like, in order to address the learning loss experienced due to the COVID-19 shutdown and support students in completing their education, high schools will have to take the following actions. This example sets up the answer to the prompt as a list of possible actions high schools could take to make sure their students are supported. What is the question asking you to do? Pay attention to the question. How do you think high schools should approach addressing the learning loss experienced due to the COVID-19 shutdown and support students in completing their education? What do you think is just that? We want to know what you think. This is your essay and your argument. What do you think schools should do? What learning losses do you think are the most important to fix? What types of support could help students? Your essay would need to go into all of these parts of the question in detail, using the reading set material to support your answer. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything in the reading set. You could certainly argue against one or more of the sources. Just make sure to explain why you disagree. The WPE graders will be familiar with the reading set, so you don't need to summarize it in detail. Instead, use the reading set material to expand on your own argument. Here's an example of what that can look like. To address learning loss, high schools will need to address students' ongoing poor attendance. Students with poor attendance end up falling further and further behind. Sparks notes that remote learning and repeated outbreaks and quarantines have led more students to miss school and fall behind in classes, while increased family illness and economic instability have given older students more reasons to leave school and start work early. This illustrates that even though schools have mostly returned to in-person instruction, some students still end up missing classes due to personal illness or the illness of family members. Meanwhile, their classes continue to move on without them. This can be addressed if high schools incorporate online tools that were used in remote instruction so that absent students can keep up with the coursework. This would be beneficial for students because, as Chang suggests, together, these tools give teachers a new flexibility. The online tools can make it easier to offer validation for students' knowledge and efforts, encourage their engagement, and help them develop skills to collaborate effectively. In other words, if teachers are flexible in their instruction, students will be allowed to show their effort and engagement and continue learning important skills and content, even if they are not physically present in the room. As many as 45% of high school principals also believe that providing supplemental online courses could help students catch up, which suggests that there is some agreement that incorporating more online tools and strategies could be a good course of action in addressing learning loss from the pandemic. Notice that this example uses the reading set material with some summary, but also directly engages with the material using quotes and paraphrases to explain a main idea. The final sentence echoes back to the prompt, which shows focus. It is important that the graders can differentiate between your ideas and those of the authors of the reading set. This means that you should be careful and make sure to cite when you use someone else's ideas. When you use summary, you briefly spell out the main points of something. When you paraphrase, you reword someone else's statement. A direct quotation is taken directly from the text. Here are a few examples of what summary, direct quotes, and paraphrases can look like. The grid notes are a tool that you can use in the reading, drafting, and editing stages of your writing. You can use them to make an index of important ideas and quotes in the reading set, and to make sure you're engaging with all the sources in the reading set. The grid notes can help you create an index of important ideas in the reading set. You can see that the student has filled out the page numbers where they believe these ideas are discussed. It can be useful to keep an index, as it might make it easier for you to see the connections and differences between the readings, and will also help you select quotes you can include in your essay. You can use the grid notes to try to synthesize the sources. This means that instead of using sources separately, you can use them together to support your own argument. Please don't overlook the resources available to you this WPE cycle. Tutoring is available from now through December 23rd. We offer both in-person and remote or Zoom appointments. We'll offer last-minute help on December 27th. You can come and work on your paper and talk to a tutor in a breakout room if you have questions or need someone to take a look at what you've written so far. The specific times for this event, as well as the links to join, will be sent in our weekly mailing on December 23rd. Finally, on January 2nd and 3rd, we will offer draft reviews. When you sign up for a draft review appointment, you are reserving a staff member's time. You will not be meeting with a tutor one-on-one. Instead, you will send us your essay draft before your appointment time, and then your tutor will email you feedback. The link to sign up for draft reviews will be sent via email in our weekly update on December 23rd. This concludes the January 2023 WPE Workshop. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us via email. We will answer you as soon as we can. Good luck with the writing process.